There shall be sound. So let me start again. Okay, so I think there should be sound now. Let me check my audio mixer here. Yes, there is sound. Okay, so let me start again. So what we're testing today is the SlingStudio, and this is on loan from the folks at Sling. And the reason why I'm twiddling with my phone here is that you can dial in additional cameras whenever you want. So you have 4 input sources. You can have an HDMI source plugged in. Let me get my camera up here and you can see how this works. You can have an HDMI source. It's quiet, he says. Okay, so I need to figure out how to turn the audio up on this. So I've got it cranked up already. All right, let's see. How? Oh, I found it. There we go. Okay, how is that? Is that better? I'll wait for you all to tell me about that. Hopefully that is good to go. Yeah, I don't know how well this stream is going to go. We're going to see. Let me start one more time. I think it should be loud enough now. If it's not, I've got a little more room here on my thing. So let me show you what I see right now. So let me drag this over here. I am using the iPad here to control this thing, and the device itself is right over here. And this is the SlingStudio. This is on loan right now, and I'm going to start recording on it also. I'm going to really kill it right now. So what it's doing right now is it's streaming wirelessly. There are wires plugged into it, and I'll show you where it's plugged into. But this is streaming wirelessly to YouTube right now, and all the cameras that are connected to it are also wireless. So if I go back to my, whoops, I set on my game controller here. If I go back to this device here, you can see I'm using my phone, and I can switch back and forth. In fact, I can even do some 2-up stuff as well. So I've got another camera that's over here. This is my iPhone 6 over there. And then I'm going to go back over to this one, and I'll show you the device itself. So this is not cheap. It's about $1,000, but for a video switcher, that's not unreasonable. And there's some features about it that I find intriguing. So the first, and I'm away from the chat, so I'll take some questions when I come back. The first thing is that everything connects wirelessly, and that is good and bad. I do have one HDMI input here on the back that it comes with, and that is going right now to my NVIDIA Shield, and I've got Pac-Man here running, which we're going to take a look at in a minute. And then what happens right now is that my cameras are just connecting via an app that's installed on all of them. So right now I've got the app running on here. I've got it running on the iPhone 6 over there. Let me go here so you can see what it looks like. So I just have it on a tripod there going wirelessly. And then what's cool is that you get this really useful control panel, so you know exactly what's going on with all of your stuff. So right now it's telling me the quality is good. I'm assuming my stream is good here based on the YouTube thing. And then we have some info on my recording capabilities. And what it's recording right now is not only the stream that I'm doing here with the with the program output, but it's also recording each of these streams individually. So you can see here, each of these devices has a little red light next to it because it's recording all of those streams individually, as well as the rest of the recording here, the live feedback, the live program feed. And then down here, it's just telling me what I'm doing for settings, and then it's got my internet connectivity and my upload speed that it tested earlier. So that is pretty cool. So let me show you one other thing that I've got hooked up to this. And it is, oh, looks like my hotspot quality is marginal. Okay, we're back in business here. This is a camera adapter. This they sell, I'm sorry for the mess here, it's a disaster right now. This thing is so you can hook up a camcorder. That's what this Canon camera is. That's the one that's trained on me right now. And what this thing does, hopefully I'm still on the right image here. Yep, okay. What this thing does is you take the HDMI out and you go into the box here, and then it goes back wirelessly to the base unit there. And this is all communicating over wireless AC. So, oh, we're losing me when I go to my phone, huh? Okay, so let me start again. So you guys aren't hearing me. Okay, so you broadcast me and I not heard it all. Okay, so let me take a look here. So the line, so I'm losing the line in when I go to different cameras. Is that what you guys are saying? Let's see. Let me switch over to the phone here real quick. Let's go back to here. So if I go back to the phone, seems to be working there. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do? I think I know what's happening here. So let me kill that. So let me go back to the phone now. I'm still trying to figure out how this thing works. So, okay, so I'm on the phone. Does this sound better to all of you? Okay, audio is louder in this view. I think what was happening was it was bringing in both my audio from the mic here as well. Let me pull back up here. It was pulling back my audio from the microphone as well as from the phone. So what I've done now, let me go back here so you can see what I did. Within the audio here, I just have the line in going, and then all the other things are disabled. Let me disable the iPhone too here. Okay. So that should make it better, hopefully. Okay, so it's quieter but more clear. So maybe I should beef it up a little bit more. So let me crank that up a little bit. How about that? Is that louder? Okay, so everybody could hear everything. That's the most important thing. So, yeah, so that's the tour. I mean, it's pretty simple. And now we've got other things I can do here. So I went out into I have a little app on the Mac called Pixelmator, but you could do this on Photoshop or any other image editor. And I made a PNG file with transparency. So if I go over here and just tap on it, what will happen is, let me go back to the preview here. You can see it pulls up a little lower third. And if I go back to my image here, let's go to my video sources and back to me, you can see, I think I have to dump this out to the main thing there. There we go. You can see now that I have a lower third under my name here, or I don't. Do I? Huh. Let's see. Graphics. I have to drag that in maybe? Let's see. Huh. Doesn't seem to be showing up on here. Let's go back to video sources and select me. Try that. Huh, that's bizarre. So for whatever reason, the graphics are not appearing over every... Unless I have to set it, oh, I think I have to set it up here first. Okay, so then I can get rid of that and then add in. It's a little complicated because it looks like the graphics are getting tied to, that might make sense because, there we go. Because you may have different graphics for different people, so you could assign a different graphic for each one. So that's what's happening there. So let me go back over to the right camera here so you can see that. And so you've got like a preview thing there. So now what's funny though about this is that I did this, this is a 1920 by 1080 graphic in my photo editor, but it's not filling the frame. So I have to look into that. I wonder if it's just reducing the size for the safe space maybe. That could be what it's doing. And it does some other stuff too that I've been playing with. So I'm going to go back to this view. And what you can do, actually, yeah, I'll just show you what I'm working on here. I can go over to this little setup screen here, and they have a picture-in-picture mode. So for example, I could go over to my NVIDIA Shield here, and I can drag this over to the main window, and then I can put me over here like that, and then I can preview this to program. And now you should see, hopefully, oh, I have to prove it first, and then I can go over preview to program. And now you should see a picture-in-picture. And you can adjust this too. So I can go back over to, oops, my TV just screwed up. I can go back over to, give me one sec. I have so many buttons that I'm pushing right now that it's crazy. And this, by the way, I've only been playing with this now for like the last 15 minutes or maybe an hour or so. I've been kind of experimenting with it to see how it works. What I can do though is if I'm not satisfied with the way that that thing is working, I can go back over here and I can make this larger. So I can drag this and kind of make it larger and then preview that back over to program like that, maybe? Come on. I have to approve it and then preview the program. Yeah, the interface is still a little clunky to me. It seems like there's some software fixes that they could make on this. But one thing that I do like about it is the fact that everything can be done wirelessly and it's all, you know, Wi-Fi range things. So especially, and let me pull back up this image here, especially the camera add-on here, because you can walk around with this thing kind of strapped onto the top of your camera, and if you're doing a sports game for your school or something or whatever, you have the ability, let me see, there it goes, you have the ability to just kind of run out and get remote footage in a way that you couldn't get before. You can almost make it look like a more professional broadcast because you're not tethered to some HDMI or SDI cable running. So that's what intrigued me about this. What frustrates me right now, and I'm going to do a full review on this, is that I can't crop the video window. So let me pull back up this, this picture-in-picture thing I've got going on here. So I can't crop out the extra stuff here in this shot. So you see that I can't make the background smaller and put it over to the side, so you can't see the full view of both. What they do have is, and I'll take some questions in a minute, they do have a way here that you can go and add like this 3-up or 4-up view, so I could do this and show all the sources that are currently coming in. So if I don't have this one, I can just drag it over there like that. And then you've got that as an option. So there are some cool things you can do. And obviously you can do the scaling. So what frustrates me here is that there's no option that I can crop these up a little bit and show what I want to show, or have a background underlying here, and then have both videos smaller but still visible in their full frame or portions of. So I do that on my TriCaster all the time, and that's the one thing that is bugging me about this. But what is nice though is that if you hit the button here most of the time, it lets you save this as a preset, so you can jump back to them very quickly. But that is that part. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to stop recording real quick here. So I'm going to upload this this little test file to the extras channel, and I'm going to hit OK. Stop that. But I'm still streaming live, I think. Yep, so there we go, because I just want to see how that works. The other cool thing is that it will do a live tally on the camera, so the person knows. So you can see right now it says monitoring. It might be hard to see, but it's like an orange monitoring thing going on. There you go. See right up the top? It says program. So that means right now that this camera is, oops, I guess I am on air, that camera was on air, and then when it goes off, it goes, so you couldn't see it. It says on monitor right here. So the person running the camera knows when they're live on the broadcast or not. And so what I just recorded to the SD card inside was all 4 of these streams, 4, yeah, it was 1, 2, 3 of these streams at the same time, or 4 of them, were all going into the SD card as separate recordings, and it recorded the main thing here too. So that was kind of neat. So now what I want to do is just pull up a little Pac-Man 256 here, and I just want to see how it can do with like video games and stuff. So I think people might want to use this for game streaming. It can do 60 frames per second, and again, you can connect up, something happened. You can connect up directly via the HDMI input. There's a single HDMI input on this. So I would have liked to have seen more, but I think they're really pushing the wireless aspect here. And let's go, and I'll get to everybody's question here in a second. I just want to do the rest of this. I'm kind of doing my evaluation. So now you should, now I'm going to pull up the audio here so you can hear it. So let's go over to, where did the audio stuff go? Audio mixer, and I'm going to turn on the turn on the HDMI in. Now it's funny, it doesn't seem to be getting audio. Maybe it is. There it is. I can adjust the audio on the fly here. And then what I can do also, because we're, I'm not really looking at the screen here, so don't now I've got this is that I can't limit the size of that picture-in-picture window, covering up the entire image here, but you get the idea as to how that works. So pretty cool though. Nice little switcher. It's no TriCaster, but it's intriguing to me. I think there's value to this Wi-Fi connectivity from the camera, especially a camcorder via HDMI. So that was interesting to me. All right, so let's take some questions here, and then I'm going to go test some other stuff. So let me go way back in the thing and see what everybody's up to here. Maybe I'll just play my game here a little bit. Well, I can't do that because I have to do this. Okay, so all right. Sorry, I'm just going through the questions. Okay, so Robert Van Etta wants to know if it comes for $1,000, does it come with the wireless HDMI adapter? And unfortunately, it does not. So you do get a single HDMI input on here. This is one of those things where the accessories are going to cost you. So this box that's up there is expensive. This is $350, and it's less expensive than the one that we're going to be looking at from from TriCaster from New Tech that's coming out in the next couple weeks. That one's about 400 bucks, but it is $350 for that. So that was that. Let me go back to some more questions here. Maybe I can pull up your questions as they come through here as I'm reading them. That'd be kind of fun. There we go. So, Life said I could run a news channel. I probably could, although I did do that for a while. As some of you mentioned, you saw it in my bio. The app on the iPad does feel slightly laggy. In fact, it takes about 2 seconds for the video to show up on the iPad from when it's being shot. But I think that's what the device itself is getting. So that's what's going on there. All right, so let's see what else we got here. Does it come with a switcher? No, it doesn't. That's a $350 add-on. There's another question here. Are you connecting each input device through the Wi-Fi device itself, or there's some cloud pass-through? So this is all going direct, and that's one of the other things. So what you do is you connect the box over there. Let me see, show it for you there. You connect that to your Wi-Fi, and then it also has Wi-Fi built in. So there's a lot of complexity to this because you've got to get it right. So what you need to do is you got to put it close enough to your internet Wi-Fi, and then everything else around it needs to be within its vicinity also. And if you've got a lot of Wi-Fi running in that area already, and I could see this being an issue that if you've got a bunch of people at a college event where everybody's bringing their phones and maybe people are connecting to Wi-Fi, the more interference you have, it's not operating over some unique band. So I could see that becoming an issue. What it does do, though, which is nice, is that it acts as a proxy for the internet. So right now my iPad here has to be directly connected to the device, but I can browse the internet and maybe get my chats and stuff even though I'm connected through this device. It's a pass-through over to the internet, so that's been helpful there. Take some more questions here. I never worked in broadcast. I had a little startup that I tried doing, but I've never formally worked in broadcast TV, but I did take a bunch of TV classes in college, so I know enough to be dangerous. And as Ken points out, I was on my local review board for my cable provider. They didn't get rid of the review boards, but they pretty much got rid of all the regulations that we were reviewing them under. So the boards are there, but they can't do anything because they got rid of all the regulation. What Comcast did was we have a local phone company here. It used to be AT&T. Actually, it was a company originally called SNET, which was Southern New England Cable Company, Southern New England Telephone. They existed for a long period of time. They got bought out by one of the baby Bells. And if those of you who remember back, the government broke up AT&T into smaller separate companies to knock down the monopoly a little bit, and they all came back together. So SBC was the little baby Bell that bought SNET. And then AT&T bought SBC, and we became an AT&T thing again. And what happened was when SNET and SBC and AT&T, whenever they started rolling out a DSL-based cable system, so they were offering cable TV. And when they started offering that, Comcast got the law changed to declare them no longer a monopoly. But then they never expanded like they were planning on, but the regulations went away anyhow. So even though I still don't have a choice here where I live, the regulations that were in place to treat Comcast as a monopoly have been removed. So that was some of the things that local board could do. So that was intriguing, that whole thing. Let's see what we got here. So I heard the game volume is too loud. Sorry, guys. I'm a little lagged here on getting stuff in there. It cannot do instant replays. That is a question that I just got here from, let me pull it up here, from Andrew O'Sullivan. And he's saying, can it do, so one of the things that it doesn't do, which would be really cool if it did, is it doesn't allow you to have a media player built in. That's one of the things that the TriCaster does really well, so I can load up video files into my TriCaster, and then I can play them back in the course of a broadcast, and they've got a lot of macro functionality. No playback, but what you could do is you could plug in a computer or something into the HDMI input on there and use that as your video player, but you wouldn't be able to do instant replays unless you swapped out drives or something like that. Let's take a few more here. So Gayback USA, who's always looking for these switchers, we've been talking about these together for a long time. if I have everything like a Roland or a Blackmagic, you can buy Apple TV to your equipment, and you can. So I'm not sure what he's asking there. If you have everything like a Roland or. Yeah, so I guess he's saying you could stream out to an Apple TV with a wireless connection from the iPhone. That's probably possible. Yep. The range, Andrew, is going to be based on whatever the Wi-Fi conditions are. So where I live and is not very saturated with Wi-Fi. I think if I took this with me to New York City, it'd be a different story. So I was able to get the same range out of this with cameras that I usually get out of my Wi-Fi. The further you get away with 5 gigahertz, the less the range is going to be. But if you got line of sight, like if you got that thing mounted somewhere, you'll have a better opportunity to pick up things. And because it's operating wirelessly, you don't have to be next to it. And I think that's one of the advantages that this thing brings to the mix. So I think that's where the range is going to be. But again, you're going to be dealing with whatever interference is there with you at that time. Let's see. Take some more questions here. Yeah, Rob Caffell is saying Connecticut is horrible with local providers per town. And one of the other issues I have been dealing with forever has been the local calling area. So when I was growing up and I had my BBS addiction and dialing out on my modem to everything, I could not get many BBSs to dial to because I can only call like the next town over. So we had a very narrow calling area. It was one of my biggest frustrations. Sean wants to know how we're switching back and forth. I will show you that right now. So we're using this iPad app that comes with the device. And right now, it only works with the iPad. So you can't use this with anything else. And the only way to control it is with the iPad. But it is wireless, and I think that's cool. So you don't have to be tethered next to the device if you don't want to be. Let's take a look at some more questions here. So Razor makes a really good point. In his area of New York, there are over 250 access points in range on the 2.4 gigahertz band, and it's mostly useless. And I think that's going to be your biggest issue with this is, again, the more Wi-Fi that's where you are, the more interference you're going to have. So I think that's an Achilles heel. So where I live, no problem. It might be fine in a high school gymnasium or something where, I would imagine if people are bringing their phones with them, they're probably connecting with, the local cellular provider, so they're not using those bands. But you'll probably want to use the 5 gigahertz band to be safe, but using that means you get less range. So there's always going to be an issue. You'll probably want to check it out first to make sure it's all working there. Yeah, so Gabeck was talking about using the Apple TV, right? So you could stream to that normally. So they do have, it looks like they probably will support, they haven't said this, but I would imagine they probably will support Android on the control side of things because they do have an app that you can put on an Android phone to make it work like a remote camera. What I've discovered, though, is that there's a very narrow compatibility on the camera apps for Android. It's like only the Samsung phones it supports right now. I did get my OnePlus 3 working with it, but the video quality was pretty lousy because it doesn't have a very good camera to begin with, and it was not working properly with the app. So they've got a very narrow list of compatible devices right now, and iOS is probably the best opportunity. So. And Chris is saying that he is watching while lounging in the pool. Don't drop your phone in the pool. Usually he's watching when he's working, I think. So that's cool. He's taking some time off. All right, that's a good question. So Andrew Sullivan says, what delay do I have from a clap to it actually appearing on the live stream? So I'm going to clap right now. Maybe I'll wait for the 30 mark to get here. Okay, I just clapped. And let's see when it shows up. So about 10 seconds to YouTube. It's about, let me try the thing here. About 2 seconds to the device itself, or at least coming back to my iPad here. So there's definitely some frame delay. Actually, what I'd be really curious to hear about from all of you is whether or not my audio is in sync with the video right now. So let me know in the chat there, because that was one of my questions. There's no audio delay on the mixer. And that's one thing, that Cerevo Live Wedge that I looked at a while ago, that one did have that, but this one doesn't. Let's see. Yeah, the white noise is probably because I've got everything cranked up on the mixer for this thing, so it's not an ideal setup. I'm using my, I'll show you my Sennheiser AVX system, and that's a balanced device that plugs into an XLR. I've just got an analog going out, and I've got it cranked up. I could adjust the audio settings on the Sennheiser, but I just wanted to play around with this a little bit to see what's working, so I could probably get that going. Everybody is saying, though, the audio is synced up, which is good. Let's see. I would love to do a collaboration next week, Abik, but I am out of town. I've got a couple things that I'm running to, and I got to come back for that too. So we should talk, though. Maybe we'll try to do something later. Send me an email. I want to thank everybody for their kind comments there. Thank you, Rob. Yeah, Gabby, happy to talk about video. Yeah, I've looked at a lot of video switchers now, so I'm happy to do a collaboration at some point. Maybe we'll do, email me. When I just got to figure out a time that works. Just next week's going to be crazy because I've got, I'm going to be going to New York just for a day trip, but that knocks like 2 days off my production schedule. So I got to hustle this weekend to get everything going, and then I'll be hustling when I get back. So I try to post about 4 to 5 videos a week. So whenever I have to go away, it knocks a lot of stuff out. That's right. I forgot I made Live's Life a moderator on the last stream I did, so he's helping out there. So any other questions, everybody? I'm going to probably switch this off in a minute or two when we hit the 30-minute mark because I've got to do some other stuff. I need to get some I'm about 2 days ahead right now, and I'm trying to be 4 days ahead, so I've got to do one other thing today before my wife and kids get home. Technic wants to know if it has Facebook live streaming. It does, but it doesn't do simultaneous streaming. So let me go back over to the thing here so you can see what the options are. I got to make notes of all these things to talk about in the review. So if I go over to what's this? Playback recordings. I guess I can only look at it there. If I go over to my settings, project settings, there is a destination, but you can only do one destination at a time. But it does support, at the moment, it supports Facebook and it supports YouTube. What it doesn't support yet is generic RTMP recordings. So you can't go out to anything yet, but they have an option there and it says coming soon. So I would imagine a future update is going to enable that. It looks like they got the hardware done, and now they're just doing software updates. And my theory is that this, I'll have to check with them, but my theory is this is running on an FPGA, and if you're not familiar with an FPGA, you may have heard me talk about it with that thing over there. That is the Analog NT Mini, which is also an FPGA. These are hyper-parallel chips that can be reprogrammed on the fly. So you can design your hardware and then essentially redesign it whenever you make changes. And the graphics that you saw a minute ago, my add graphics thing here, the graphic overlays were not available when they sent this to me, and then last week, right before I was going to get started on it, they enabled it. So there's features that are still yet to come, and it's all going to be software. So it says mobile has front and back camera. So no, it doesn't look like, oh yeah, it does. So I could switch this camera around. So if I go over to the camera view here, so let me go, so right now you see the TV, right? And now I can hit the switcheroo here. And there I am. And you know what I would love? Tell me if this is in sync, because that's an accomplishment if it is. So I got analog audio coming in, and now I'm talking to my phone transmitting wirelessly. So I'd love to hear how that works. That looks like it worked. You know what doesn't work, though, is I've got the iPhone 7, and it's got 2 cameras on it. It doesn't support the other camera, so you can't zoom in or anything, so you're locked to whatever your phone provides. And I'll tell you what, it is draining the battery quite a bit. So John Ellis is saying that the newer FPGAs, let me pull up the chat window here, support partial reconfiguration without a reset. That is pretty cool. Yeah, so right now on the Analog NT Mini, for example, when I switch from NES to ColecoVision, it shuts itself down and has to just basically dump the whole FPGA out and load in a new set of logic to it. But I'm telling you, it's so amazing how well this works for retro gaming, especially the Coleco. You know, the emulation is good, but It's the input lag. It's just more accurate on that thing, and there's no underlying operating system running on it, so it's very, very fast. And I think I'm guessing that to do all this stuff, because this thing can record, they call it ISO recording, so it can record all of the input devices simultaneously while it's also feeding out live and running the program feed. So it's got to have FPGAs in there to do that, I think. Oh, good. So it is. The audio was synced from there. Cool. Mr. Derek says he's a big fan. I am a big fan of my fans, so thank you all for popping in. So make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Great. This has been good. No, this is cool. I think this is neat. This thing is not cheap. It's $1,000 for the base unit. And again, if you want that that camera adapter that's on top of my camera right there, you got to pay another $350 for that. They do have a battery that goes on the bottom of this, so you could, if you had to put it somewhere for the best reception, you could set it up completely wirelessly, and you're looking at about a 3-hour battery life, and it definitely drains the battery on your devices too. So if I go over here back to the iPad, we'll hit my little control panel up here. So what we've got here, this is another thing that intrigued me, is that the hotspot is running at 72%, probably because look at the data rates going back to it. So this is all AC wireless going back to the main hub. So we're cranking out here pretty decently. But you'll see here the batteries are declining quickly, especially on the iPhone 6 over there. I think, so I've been using my 7 throughout the day here just because I'm working today. But this is my 7. That's actually my 7 is the 40% one because I've been using the phone quite a bit. So you get maybe an hour on a full charge, if that. So you probably want to have some USB batteries connected or just plug the phones in directly there. And yeah, so we've got everything going out there. And I've got 41 minutes free on the recording. I can start recording again if I want to. So I would imagine I'm getting, the quality is based on just how much data this thing's getting. I'm not sure. So let's see what this is doing here. So, oh, so it even measures congestion by neighboring networks. That's very intriguing. I would bet you if I turned down something that I would see, like if I turned off something, that number would probably improve. And you can see the percentage that each one is consuming. So they probably have a pretty beefy Wi-Fi radio in here. And that's probably also why the compatibility is so crazy on this, because they have a very specific set of devices that are compatible. So the only Android ones that they list are the Samsung S8 and S7, the iPhones, and not all the iPhones either. So I would imagine there's probably some AC wireless thing going on. Abraham Nissen wants to know, how do you feel, this is a good question, about my first video? It's hard to say which one is the first one, but I cringe like every time I watch my old stuff, but I leave it up there because people are still watching it. So, you figure out like what's better and how it's funny when you're doing. I used to like kind of scream at the beginning of each of my videos. It was almost like a crazy. For those of you in the tri-state New York area probably remember Crazy Yeti. I was almost doing that. I never realized I was doing it until I started watching it. I was like, after a little later. So I kind of toned down my my shtick a little bit because I didn't even realize I was being so crazy. So the 13 megabits is these are all 30 frames per second, Robert. And if you want to go to 60 frames per second, it limits you to only 2 devices, and they both have to be on HDMI. So I think, if I'm not, I have to double check this, but it's definitely 2 devices, and I think they both have to be either connected via HDMI directly, the one device to the unit, and then you have to use the camera box that I've got on top of the camera right now to get 60. But that, again, limits you to two sources. So they do have some limitations on that. So it may not be the best for game streamers. Nurturewist, the iPad is the new iPad Pro. This is the 10.5. I reviewed that just recently. You can check out my review of that. Yeah, Max Payne probably just because the cameras are better, and I would guess maybe they probably have some confidence in the robustness of the Wi-Fi. Let's see. That creeps me out. The tech discussion turns people on. So yeah, so that's that. So I think I'm going to, unless you guys have more questions, I may call this one quits for now, because I think I've gotten most of what I want to figure out with this. These things are really hard to review because I don't want to make like a 20-minute review of this because people get zoned out, but I want to be able to cover all the features. And what's nice about this right now is it's relatively simple. So we'll see how that goes. I also got in the Blackmagic ATEM, the new one, which I'm using as a spare for my TriCaster in case it ever goes down. So that's my spare unit. I had the Cerevo Live Wedge, which I like, but it's not, the switching wasn't as clean as I would like it to be, so I'm going to try to get that one going. I'll review that one after I'm done with the SlingStudio here. These things don't do as well in the channel in the short term because I don't think a lot of viewers or maybe subscribers are interested in this, but in the long term, it'll pick up a lot of search traffic. So right now, RCTV HD, I've got 4 cameras, essentially 4 cameras going. So let me show you what I've got again here. I have the HDMI coming out of the NVIDIA Shield. And then I've got me here on the main camera with the box. This is the iPhone 6 right over there pointing at me. And then this down here is the phone that's in my hand right now. So I've got all 4 inputs occupied here. And it seems like it's really holding up. Now, this is kind of an ideal test environment because my Wi-Fi out to you guys is in the ceiling right there. And right now I'm the only one in the house. So nobody is hitting that Wi-Fi access point for outgoing streaming. And it's AC. And then everything right now is just right next to the box here. So I might go outside and just see how far I can get with the camera mount here, and maybe put that box closer to the window or something just to get a feel for it. I do like this wireless notion to this because this is working better than I expected it to. Because when I saw what they were talking about, I was like, I don't know, it's going to break up from the phones, but the wireless access point in there seems pretty robust. And I think the reason why this thing looks the way it does is for the antennas, to give you enough antenna real estate essentially on there. So I think that's what is making it work so well. So that is what we're going to look at there. And oh, the video broke up. Yeah, so I'm really pushing my my outgoing stream right now, guys. So and gals, I've got only 10 megabits up, and I'm pushing like the high quality stream because I wanted to get the best possible stream there. Dan wants to know, is 1080 the max resolution? Yes, 1080 is the max. I think, are we broadcasting at 1080 or are we doing 720? Oh, we are. Okay, so we're going out at 1080 right now. So that is good. Robert Van Edda wants to know, any HDCP issues with the console? So I haven't experienced one yet, and here's why. I have a little splitter that I got that doesn't have that problem, and that solves the problem for me. So there's a, you got to look on some of the forums, point you out where these things are, because usually my NVIDIA Shield, because of that HDCP stuff, doesn't always work with something that is enforcing that. And my little splitter there usually solves that problem for me. So I haven't had that issue. But yeah, I would imagine it's not going to allow you to broadcast a protected HDCP device. Robert Van Etta, oh, I just got that question. And then John Ellis is 802.11ac. Yes, definitely 802.11ac. I don't know the exact specifications of the box there, but my suspicion would be that it's probably a 3x3 radio because we're killing it right now. I've got, let me pull back up the thing here, and I'll show you what our, so you can see, like, look at all this bandwidth we're pushing there, like double-digit bandwidth here from each of these devices. Isn't that crazy? So it's definitely running AC. And it's been pretty reliable. Like that one breakup you saw was Comcast, not it. So I'm pleased with that. I'm pleased with that. A couple more questions, and we're going to call it quits here. So I'm sorry, you're a moderator on this thing. I can't even pronounce your name. Life wants to know if HDMI connectors are the normal or the mini size. So let me show you what it's got in the back here. This is what's kind of weird about it. And maybe they did this for like consumer friendliness, but down here, so I've got the HDMI connected. This is a USB-C port, and I wanted to see if it was universal because they have their own USB-C adapter. So I plugged in my memory stick here, and it does work. So it looks like it'll work with any in a USB memory stick. I got a SanDisk thing here. And I think it also would work with Ethernet too, so you can plug Ethernet in if you want a better connection. Now they've got a full-size HDMI input back here, but the line in, I'm sorry, the line out to monitor, so you can plug a monitor into it and live monitor it. The output to the monitor is a mini HDMI, so they switched it up a little bit. Now the weird thing though is on this box. So this of course is the input for the camera. So we've got my Canon. This is an HFG30. This is what I was using as my main studio camera up until a couple weeks ago, because long story, it's a 1080i versus 1080p issue. But this has a mini HDMI out, but the input is micro HDMI. So that, I think, is weird. Like, why not have a full-size HDMI? You have a full thing here. You got plenty of room for it. So maybe it's just a design limitation based on the antennas on there. But that was a weird choice. So you have to get a mini to micro cable. It comes with this cable is the one it comes with. I guess they assume that that's what most people probably have. But if you have a full-size HDMI, you've got to go and do that. So, or get another cable. So they sell them, I think, for 18 bucks on their website, but they've got some other ones. Does the device support broadcast to multiple destinations? Not yet. Not yet. But what you could do is you could get one of those boxes that does let you do that. And I think there's some services that you can do that will stream out. You go to them and they stream out to the other services. So once they support RTMP, which they don't yet do, you could probably do that. So you do have some options there. Next question. This is, did I hear that Nintendo might be making a N64 Classic Mini? I am sure they will. They're going to milk this for all it's worth. They're making a fortune on those things, and they're going to make more devices and make more money as a result. So those things are cheap to make and profitable. So I'll be looking forward to that. All right, everybody. So I think I have satisfied my curiosity on this, and I want to thank everybody for spending a little bit of your afternoon with me. And I do these live streams all the time, and this one was great because it's a live streaming device, so it's good to see how it all works. And I'm pleased with this. It's not something I would use necessarily because I don't do a lot of in the field stuff, but I could see this being really useful to a high school or to a church or something. So yeah, so let me answer a few more questions. You guys never let me go. That's okay. I like talking to you all. So yeah, there is not yet RTMP support. So let me show you what it says here when I'm looking at that. I don't want to disable my stream though, so let me see if I can get in there without. Yeah, I can't adjust the live broadcast setting right now. But what it told me when I set it up was it's got YouTube and Facebook Live. And then it's got an option for RTMP, but it said coming soon. So at the moment, it doesn't support it, but it will. But this is using the RTMP protocol to YouTube, but YouTube has an API for setting up the stream. So I think they're working with the APIs from Facebook and YouTube first, considering that's probably what most people are going to use this for, and then going from there. Joby Wan Kenobi, thanks. My first live stream seems to work quite well. Yeah, this is working decently. In fact, I'm still trying to troubleshoot why this is, but it seems to be working better than my TriCaster streaming does. But I have to adjust some of the output profiles. What's funny is, so TriCaster is an amazing device. It's like, not to toot my horn, but it's a professional device. It's not a consumer device. And they update it all the time. But, it's funny, I kept checking the little update thing, and it said there was no updates available. But apparently they had a bug which told you that you didn't need an update. Now it's like 5 versions behind. So I just updated the TriCaster, and it's a big update. So hopefully that will improve the live streaming on that one moving forward there. So it's been good. Yeah, 45 minutes already. My gosh. These things fly by when I do them. So it's been really cool. So yeah, and then and it works pretty well here. So I guess you guys, okay, now the audio is going to be really loud here. So let me turn down the HDMI in here because that was an issue before. So so you can see here it's bringing in the shield. Actually, I would love to hear from all of you how the game streaming works here. So let's pull up, I'm going to pull up Sonic the Hedgehog real quick. Because if anything is going to be fast motion here, it's going to be this. This is emulation, of course. And you know what's funny is that there is even on the Shield, which has really low latency, the emulation just has latency, you know. And it wasn't until I started playing around with the FPGA thing, you know, whatever that is, the Analog NT Mini. By the way, I'm not usually this bad at Sonic the Hedgehog. I cannot talk and play video games at the same time. So there you go. It looks okay on my screen here. I'm wondering if you could also tell me how it looks to you. So let me pull up now. Let's try one more thing here. And we'll do there we go. So I got my 2-up thing here, so you can see me with some buttons. I can maybe move. Do that. Oh, I can't. Oh, I can move that like that, but I can't do the other thing. So let me go back to what I had before, and then I can move this in and get the other view of me. Oops. I'm not playing right now. I'm looking at the screen here. So let's go yeah, so some aspects of this that are just a little flaky at the moment. So that's been the one thing that I've been irritated over. So John's wondering, which FPGA board am I using? So right now, my FPGA board of choice is actually built into the Analog NT Mini, which is on the floor right now because I was using this to experiment with the box earlier. So that, of course, is an NES device, but they came up with a custom bit of firmware that allows it to play other consoles. So now that little device there works as a Coleco, a Sega Master System. It does most of the 8-bit consoles, all the Atari consoles, the 7800, the 5200, 2600, the ColecoVision, my personal favorite. Everything just works on it. It's really cool. It doesn't do the 16-bit stuff. I do have one of those, I forgot the name of it. It's a pretty popular project that is running an FPGA. The name escapes me at the moment. But that one, unfortunately, has a VGA output. It doesn't support HDMI, so it's hard to get it working not only with my TVs, but also with my monitors, because I don't have a lot of monitors that support VGA anymore. And then what it outputs is like a 640 by 480 thing, so some of my monitors that do support VGA don't support that. The Mist, that's what it was, the Mist PC. So, Technic Communications, longest time I can stream. Does it support in television? That's a good question. Let me look that up. I don't remember. Let's see. I'll look that up right now. I think it might. Because I know that Kevtris is the guy that designs this FPGA thing. He's a mad genius, mad scientist. Let's see. I'm pretty sure it supports in television too. I'd have to boot it up. Why don't we do that real quick? Let's see. I have all the cores on there right now, so I'm going to disconnect the NVIDIA Shield and I'll reconnect the other thing here. So let's do that real quick. Why don't I just show you guys this while we're streaming? Why not? So I'll plug that in. I'll boot it up. Plug in this, and it came with these great controllers from 8-bit Do. I'll plug it back in. All right, there we go. So we're up and running again. And where did my controller go? There it is. Ooh. So it came with these great controllers from 8-bit Do. They look like this. And it has a retro receiver. Let me show you that real quick. Where's my phone? Here it goes. This is cool, though, to be able to just grab the phone and just show you something, because it was not something you can easily do or with any decent amount of quality before. So here is the Analog NT Mini. Now, you'll notice I have no cartridges in here right now because I'm running the firmware that Kevtris made for it. So Kevtris made the firmware for the device itself in its official mode. You put cartridges, Nintendo cartridges or Famicom cartridges in there. But then he made his own like jailbroken firmware that allows you to load stuff off of the SD card. So I've got a bunch of systems loaded up into there. So let me show you what the screen looks like now. So this is the main menu, and you know you have the unofficial firmware on there because it's got the little pirate things there. What I can do is, let me get my controller, there we go. If I go over to cores, so these are all of the systems right now that it supports. So I don't see Intellivision on there. No, I'm not seeing Intellivision. It's got some weird ones too, like the RCA Studio 2 and a few of the other ones there. So for example, if I wanted to go into the Atari 2600, for example, I can just hit that, load the core. Now what's probably going to happen here is it's going to lose the signal, because what it's doing is it's running with what they call an FPGA, which I mentioned before. That's a chip that can get reprogrammed to behave like any other chip. So what's happening is that, and it's a semantic argument as to whether or not this is emulation versus simulation. I like to use the word simulation because I think it's more accurate to what it's doing, because what Kevtris has done is program this chip to behave just like the Atari 2600 chip did back in the day. So let me go over to, I think it's in here. So Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back. Okay, so here we go. And that's it. It is The Empire Strikes Back. This is my favorite game from childhood. I used to play the crap out of this game. In fact, over the I'm 40 now. I have probably played this game every couple of months for most of my life. And there's no purpose to it other than the fact that you go and kill these Imperial walkers here and go and do that. Now what's neat about this is that there's very little latency on this controller. It really feels very close to accurate, because this is not something that is being replicated in software. He has taken the hardware, essentially reverse engineered it. It's hard to do with a gamepad. The joystick is the better way to go. Reverse engineered it and reprogrammed this FPGA chip to work exactly like the original chips did. So you're really, getting a very accurate replication of what the original one looked like. It's almost like transplanting a brain versus programming software to kind of work together with the timing. So the timings are identical. I believe the chip itself, its cycles are the same as the original 6502 that was powering it were. So very, very accurate. It's really cool stuff. And then I have the force now. This is cool. When you get the force, there's no way to understand how the force works, but I can go in and take those guys out there. Hopefully I'm still going here. Yep, there we go. Yeah, so Max Payne says it's like a multi-boot. That's right. So it's essentially it. And I can go back in here. I think if I hit the start menu, I can go back to the core. Let me go back out of here. Really exit. Yes. Oops, wrong button. There's a command to get out to the main menu there. Yeah, that's the one that kills it. I'll have to come back and figure it out. But yeah, you can see all the different systems that it runs. Let me show you the Coleco real quick, and then I'll call it quits here. I got to reboot it. There's one key command that knocks it out of commission, but he does promise, hopefully, to continue working on it. He had a period of time where he was releasing new cores. I'm going to cycle this real quick. Hopefully this will... There I am. I'm back. I'm back. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure how long the stream is going to go on for. I think Comcast finally is wise to me. I may at some point have to get a business account. And I'm really pushing my output here too, so that could be part of it too. Maybe the neighbors are playing Call of Duty or something. But it does a lot of other stuff. I mean, it has all these different systems. It does the Game Boy and the Atari 2600. My personal favorite, though, is the ColecoVision. This was the thing. And what's funny is I think that game systems back in the day were very regional. So I had looks the stream health is looking better now. So I had a ColecoVision. All the kids in my neighborhood had one. So one kid gets one, everybody gets one. And the games were expensive. These games were, in 2017 dollars, probably $50, $60, as much as the games are today. So this was not a cheap thing to run around with. By the way, I've been going for an hour. So it looks like you're only going to get about 2 hours out of that camera pack. It's about 50% now on that camera pack. So let me show you one of my favorite ColecoVision games. I have so many that are just cool. Here, let's do Bump and Jump. And then you always started off with this licensing screen on it. I used to play the crap out of this game. This was, so 1982 was when this came out. I think I got it in probably around the time, so when the video game crash happened, as bad as it was great for us kids because the games got really cheap. So this game was an arcade game, and what you do is you drive and knock the cars off the road. That's kind of the thing. But you get a bonus if you don't knock the cars off the road. So there's some benefit to not doing that. And I have the sound off right now because I didn't want to interfere with the stream. So when you hear that noise, you got to jump, and that's the dynamic of the game. And this game never ends. So you go through different seasons, and you try to get a high score, and that's it. And a lot of these games were arcade ports that they did on the ColecoVision. So you know, these games back in the arcade days were not about finishing the game. It was really more about getting the high score, so that at the local bowling alley, you had your name on your initials on the computer or the screen for the high scores. That was kind of the thing. So let me hit that. Let me show you. Back out one menu here. Oops, I've never seen that game before. Let me go back. And then I have these games. Cubert, love Cubert. There's another one. Yeah, John Ellis, please take my money, create cable plan. Yeah. Yeah, Max Payne, I am uploading a lot of stuff, so that's probably part of my problem there. So this was Cubert. Now, this is not like arcade perfect, but it was probably one of the best arcade ports at the time. And so the ColecoVision was powered by, oops, I'm usually much better at this game. Again, I'm talking. The ColecoVision was powered by a Z80 processor. And so it was very similar in many ways to the MSX computers at the time. And there was a computer that Coleco was selling, which promptly led to the dissolution of the company, called the Atom. And the Atom was sold in toy stores. And the deal with the Atom was, you can't pause these games either, by the way. The deal with the Atom was that you got the whole computer in the box. So you got the computer, the monitor, the printer, everything you needed was in the box. And it would play all the ColecoVision games too. So that was its claim to fame. But it was not very well manufactured. It was very poor quality. So a lot of them are coming back. And in fact, my ColecoVision console, I still have my ColecoVision. My ColecoVision console, I had to return to the store like 6 times because it kept breaking. So they had real quality control issues. And I think that ultimately led to the demise of the company there. So let's see. How warm are my devices right now? Well, I will say that my phone is quite warm. That's a good question. The phone is very warm. No question about that. Let me check the iPhone 6 over here. This one, not as warm. A little warm. The box here, not too bad. And the streaming box is definitely heating up a bit too. So, but not dangerously so. There's no fan on the streaming box, by the way. So that's that on that one. Yeah, good stuff. This thing's working pretty good. Yeah, it's a good trial by fire here to see how it works. Let's do another picture-in-picture thing here. We'll drop that in there and go preview the program. And so this is my biggest gripe with this. Come on, go over there. So I gotta hit this and then preview the program. So my big gripe with this right now, because now I've got the 2-up thing going, is that I can't move the game over, for example. So I wanted to, wrong controller. I wanted to move the game screen over a little bit because I have room, but I can't move it. It just doesn't, it's static. Even when now I can go into, let me pull up my little camera here. I can go over to this thing here. It's like a 2-up, but this is just a side-by-side, so I can move my position here a little bit there. But that's not ideal. Like, I'd like to be able to do the picture-in-picture. So ideally what I'd like to be able to do is have just be able to scale down that background. And I'm guessing it's got to be capable of doing that because if we go back over, menu real quick. If I go back to the picture-in-picture thing, I can run 4 sources next to each other. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. I can put all 4 on screen here for you, so you can see that going all at once. So it does have the ability. There we go. So it does have the ability here to do a 4-way thing. So it's scaling the video down, but it doesn't let you do that in the picture-in-picture. So I would like the ability to have a little more flexibility. And there's no way this thing is not powered by an FPGA. It's got to be running with one, because you can't do this stuff without one of those things. And that's why it's so expensive. Those FPGA chips do demand some cost. So probably, yeah, so let's take a few more questions here. Yeah, so Razor, that's why I'm not sure. It looks like it can do the scaling because it's scaling into that quad view. So there's got to be more to the story, that they're probably still developing things. And my guess is that they wanted to get the minimally viable product done and out, so the core hardware is functional. Definitely so. But yeah, there's some frustration with that. And John Ortiz, this is a device we're looking at here, and I'm going to be ending the stream in a few minutes, but we've got it right here. This is called the SlingStudio, and it's a live video switching device. We've been streaming now for about an hour. It sits there on my floor. Everything connects to it wirelessly. I've got has one HDMI input, so we have the analog NT Mini plugged in there right now, playing some ColecoVision. But it's been functioning pretty well. We had one dropout, which I blame Comcast for, not the box. And all seems good. I've got my lavalier wireless AVX microphone in there. I did crank up the audio input on there, so you're probably hearing a little bit of white noise. But otherwise, it seems to be working. John says the cost is the engineer. Yeah, the FPGAs have come down in price considerably. I'll give you that for sure. Definitely. Yeah, the TriCaster has a bunch in there too. I think they've got 2 or 3 of them in the TriCaster. It's pretty crazy. All right. Well, folks, I want to thank you all. I need to get some other stuff done here because I have a hard, they call this in business, a hard out when my kids and wife get back from the beach. So I have a couple of things that I want to get ready for some shooting. I'm going to try to do a quick one, and then I got a couple of questions for the folks at Sling about this, and then probably get this one up next week. I've got a quick trip to New York coming up. I'm going to be going to the Motorola phone unveiling, so I'm just going in and out the same day, but it's going to blow up my schedule. So I'm going to try to get caught up a little bit. And tonight on the channel, I'm excited about this. Tonight on the channel, we have a interview with an actual person from YouTube, like an official YouTube person talking to us about stuff going on YouTube, which I thought was really cool. So he's going to be joining me. I have the interview already shot, and we're going to be talking about things for creators to think about. So if you have a YouTube channel, big or small, there might be some interest there. And he's going to talk about some of the efforts YouTube has been making, at least he's been making, to try to improve communication with creators and stuff. He has a channel. His name is Rob Leung, and he has a channel, Tom Leung, sorry. Tom Leung, and he has a channel at Creator Insider. So he's an official YouTuber. He's done this stealth YouTube channel that people have been slowly discovering. I found it just organically. So it's pretty cool. So you can hear from him. And I think it's going to do it for me for now. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. It looks like this thing works as advertised. And there's some features I'd like to see, but it looks like they're off to a good start with it. So I will be back with a full review of this very shortly on the channel. And I will see you all very shortly. Good night, everybody, and have a good one.